Hi everyone, my name is Arabi and I'm an ANBA volunteer, and today I'm going to be talking about anxiety and panic attacks. Anxiety is a feeling of worry or unease, and most people will experience anxiety at some point in their lives. Some people experience anxiety a lot more intensely and more often than other people do. You might suddenly feel anxious about things and not understand why, or you might start feeling anxious about everyday things that never used to make you feel anxious in the past. Anxiety might feel different for everyone, but here are some common things that people with anxiety experience. A feeling of nervousness or unease. A feeling that something is wrong or not quite right. A feeling that something bad is going to happen. You might experience a fast beating heart or feel jittery like you can't keep still. So a panic attack is an intense period of heightened anxiety. You might feel them gradually building, or you might experience them suddenly without warning. They can be very distressing and you might feel terrified or as if you're losing control. And it's very common to feel sick, dizzy, weak, and to hyperventilate. Your panic attack could last minutes or hours, but it will pass. And although panic attacks are very frightening, usually they're not dangerous. To help manage panic attacks and feelings of anxiety, try one of our breathing and grounding techniques videos. You could also try problem solving. Sometimes we're anxious about certain problems, and one way to manage our anxiety around these problems is to try and identify a possible solution. So you can identify a time in the day which is dedicated to problem solving, so about 20 minutes a day. And if you think of a problem outside of this time, you can write it down and come back to it during your dedicated problem solving time. This can greatly reduce the amount of time you spend worrying in a day. So there are 4 stages to this. Number 1, identify a problem and write down a list of possible solutions. Number 2, choose a solution from your list, and if you're finding it hard to pick a solution, try using a pros and cons list against each of your solutions. Number 3, break down your solution into manageable steps. Number 4, try your solutions and review. So one other thing you could try is avoiding avoidance. So when situations make us anxious, it might be tempting to avoid them, and although this makes a lot of sense, it's not always helpful. It can actually maintain and increase our anxiety in the long term. If we always avoid uncomfortable situations, we reinforce the idea that they are too difficult for us to cope with, and this can actually mean that we carry on feeling anxious. But if we expose ourselves to the situation, we can learn that we can cope and that the situation is not as bad as we imagined. This can reduce our anxiety. Instead of avoiding situations that make you anxious, you might want to try confronting them for just a small amount of time. This might show that you can cope or that the situation is not as bad as you thought. So start by making a list of things that make you anxious. Then group them into situations that cause you a little anxiety, medium anxiety, and high anxiety. When you feel ready, confront the situation. So start small, with a situation that causes you the least amount of anxiety, and it might be the case that the longer you stay in the situation, the more your anxiety will reduce. So try to stay in that situation until you feel your anxiety lessening, but do check in with yourself, and if you feel like you need to exit the situation, feel free to do so. So try to repeat this exercise every day, and gradually move from situations that cause you a small amount of anxiety to situations that evoke a stronger feeling of anxiety. We hope this video has been useful for you, and we wish you all the best. Please feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions. Stay safe.